Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. It is Monday. We're going to start a brand new week. This is the last week of videos for the year, and it's also the end of year 5. Technically a couple weeks ago was the end of year 5, but whatever. That's like the anniversary of the channel. I still like to do like January to December. Anyways, so I figured something special to do for my patrons is to allow them to suggest me anything. There is no theme, there's no requirement. Some people have suggested like some 60-minute songs. And I'm just randomly picking with a little random number generator. So there's no theme this week. We could get literally anything. There's drone, there's electronic, there's classical, there's metal. The list is pretty diverse. We're kicking it off today though with some MX Lonely. The track Beauty Lasts for Never. I've enjoyed MX Lonely almost every time I think that they've been presented to me. I'm eager to dive into this one. Let's see what they're bringing to the table today. Ooh, that's an interesting walk-up. Oh, not as heavy as I was expecting. High-pitched synth tone is really interesting compared to the bassiness of everything else. It's like it's floating in the stratosphere of the song. Okay, there we go. Chords and pedal tone from the guitars. Yeah, I really love that directed harsh vocal alongside the sort of reverberant clean vocal. Atmosphere building from the textures of the guitar and bass are really nice here, creating something more atmospherically driven to contrast with the chord-based writing from the chorus. Drummer is super precise. For something laid back a bit, just really sitting in the pocket, super tight. we got the tom work in the back. I like the call and response in that bridge to sit in opposition of this, that we have this unification across the chorus. The beginning of that, where the guitars come in with the and the vocals coming in too. I love that mix. Oh, I didn't do this time. I heard that cymbal. I don't know if it was the hi-hat closing or maybe a stick hitting it. I was like, oh, they're getting ready to count into the next section. Nope, song's over. I should have known that, given that we were 5 minutes into the, well, we were 6 minutes into the video, 5 minute song. The line's up, right? I enjoyed that though. And like I said, I kind of figured I would coming into this. I've enjoyed most of the MX Lonely I've listened to. What I think is most interesting about this track, and for some reason it's not something I necessarily have attributed to them in my mental category for them, is this really interesting meeting points of shoegaze and like punk, pop punk maybe. There's lines in here, guitar parts that remind me of Weezer. They remind me of Sum 41, but the song doesn't. I would never say that this is a song that feels like anything either of those bands would have put out. It's just guitar licks. It's little melodic ideas. It's even at times I think parts of the chord progression kind of owe themselves more to the punk realm, but a majority of the song has that sort of dreamlike gaziness to it. It feels sweet and hazy and ethereal, even a bit. I don't know if this makes sense to anybody else. Shoegaze frequently feels wonky to me. There's something about the chord progression itself, like that stereotypical shoegaze progression, that always feels weird. I don't have any other word to describe it. It's like I know what the chord progression typically would be, and there's some minor alterations on the third and fourth chords usually to create this sort of ambiguous tension. It's not necessarily something that's bright, but there are positive components to it, but it isn't sad either, though there are melancholic components to it. And all of that mixed in with that wall of sound compression makes it feel wonky. It's difficult to get a visual grasp on it, or an auditory grasp on what's really going on in these moments. And it's something that's eluded me in almost every shoegaze song y'all have shown me. There's something about it. It's just ambiguous. To me, it's the defining element of shoegaze. You can do wall of sounds, lots of compression with that indie rock guitar tone, and not follow up with a shoegaze feeling, because these types of chords are what I expect. It's the gaze part to me. Anytime that we listen to anything adjacent to gaze, even black gaze, right, I feel has more interesting, spicier chords in it. Things that are a bit more ambiguous in intention, in emotion. To me, that's the gaze formula right there. And I don't know if that's ever been documented anywhere. I would love to know, what is it? What is the secret spice in the shoegaze chord progression that gives it that gazy feeling? But it's here. But like I said, it's mashed up with punkier ideas, stuff that reminds me of very not shoegaze bands. And it's those moments that I think feel the strangest to me. It almost feels like one of those weird dreams where you know you're in a dream, but like you can't wake yourself up, and you're also not 100% sure you're in the dream, even though the street lights are dripping and you're constantly jumping between different scenes and places and conversations. You're still kind of convinced it's real while you're in it, and it's only when you wake up you're like, "Oh, yeah, dude, that made sense." That's what shoegaze feels like. That's what this song feels like to me in so many places. Um, and it's wild. I really like whatever they're doing here, however they're achieving that. Now, there are a couple of things I think that really works here. One, I do like the variation between more atmospheric ideas and that pure atmosphere chordal stuff they go for in the chorus. And I know that's a bit confusing. I like the atmosphere and the atmosphere. And like, Bryan, what does that mean? But in the verses, they tend to aim for more atmospheric ideas. I don't necessarily think that the verse is more atmospheric, but the ideas tend to aim at creating atmosphere more so than creating music. There's a higher emphasis on sound design, more so than pitch and melody and harmony. Granted, the vocals are still creating harmony and melody. They still have a lead melody that they're going through with, but the guitar and the bass, they're kind of playing around with sound, the sonic quality of their instrument, and what kind of tones they can create without necessarily worrying about pitch. It creates something that's very texture based, but creates this almost alien sound, especially mixed with just that noise, that white noise that sits at the back of this song almost constantly. It feels introspective but dangerous. Like I don't know, like trying to be pensive and thoughtful, and some voice sitting at the back of your mind waiting for you to recede into your thoughts so it can attack you. That's what the verse feels like so often to me. And then we have the pre-chorus, which introduces that main guitar lick that we end up hearing at the end of the chorus and as the post-chorus slash pre-verse that takes us back into verse 2. This is cool because that guitar lick is single note ideas after the chorus, but full chord ideas prior to the chorus. It's a little way of sneaking it into this concept right here of getting a little bit of foreshadowing for this melodic movement while disguising it under chords, and the chords are helping transition us into the chorus, which is chord based. That syllable's starting to sound really weird. The chorus, though, does give us this full-bodied, we're just going to play full-body chords, just doo, 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 doo. And the bass is giving us root tones, the guitar is giving us the full chords, and that's it. This is not complex at all. The drummer this entire time has been a bit relaxed, bit laid back, I would say. Aggressive with the attacks, but not aggressive with frequency of attacks. This chorus is the moment that the drums are the biggest. This is a very straightforward idea here. It's designed to feel big. Constantly hitting quarter note strums is a way to feel big. What I really like here, though, is something that we saw already in the verse, is the unification of the vocals, having both vocal styles being present and sort of sitting around, where the higher pitched vocals are a bit airier and ethereal and have a high reverb, where the lower pitched vocals are more directed. They have a little bit of width to them just so that they don't feel thin, but they're very present, full-bodied, and here. And it almost sounds like the reverb wraps around it, and it creates this double-layered vocal. It's a very neat idea that I think absolutely pays off when the vocalist puts a little bit of grit and some raspiness into some of their vocal deliveries at the end of the chorus, and having that grit be wrapped up with this beautiful haziness is just, yes, that texture is so Cool. I love that so much. Um, and we actually see a little bit more of this when the vocalist goes back into the non-raspy version, but we also bring the guitar lick under it after the chorus. And then we have the guitar, the lower vocals, and the higher vocals all sort of working together. We have the clean delivery from the two vocals, the bite from the distorted guitar, all of it wrapped together. It is just, yes, I really love the sound design on these decisions of layering the melodies. And after this, we go back into a verse, go back into a chorus. This is all pretty much the same. I think the second verse changes a little bit with what kind of sounds they're adding to the atmosphere and that, but the general concept, the foundation of this, how it's structured is the same. This takes us to the bridge, which was interesting. It was kind of more of the same, but also kind of not. I'm not entirely sure if I liked it. But I will say there is one idea in it that I liked, and it might be enough to carry the whole section for me. We went to a bit of dual layered vocals, not that they're harmonized, but that we have a constant back and forth. I'm not super keen on what the instruments were doing here. Honestly, a lot of it is more of the same, but different. We're still working with high concept, wall of sounds, atmospheric writing. It just, I don't know, it's weird because it's more of the same, but it's different, and that familiarity kind of bored me a little bit. Shoegaze does that a lot with me. A lot of shoegaze tracks tend to be very similar from start to finish. And so it's got to be something really interesting in the mix that pulls my attention in. And I don't think they necessarily had it, but it was outside of the mix. It was the composition here that grabbed my attention. It was these vocals kind of coming in together and then doing the call and response, and then this leading back to lining back up, and the way that this wrapped up into the outro of the song, which is like an embellishment of the chorus, and we changed out the guitar lick, but we brought back it was just like so many cool ways of reinterpreting ideas we already had, and the lead up into it being really great. I mean, it was just a very cool idea. I just wish something could have grabbed me in the music here too. It's definitely one of those 50-50 things where half of it I really liked and the other half I could have gone for something else there. But again, changing too much of it, you kind of lose that shoegaze thing. I mean, they could have changed the chord progression entirely. They could have shifted key, but maybe that would have been too stark of a change. Maybe lyrically, this is about this moment. You can't really change too much of that, We'll hit the lyrics and we'll see if maybe my opinion on this changes at all. But like I said, I really love the vocal stuff there and how that pulled us into the end, and how the end was familiar but different, bringing in new ideas and mixing and matching some ideas from previously. It all ended up working really well. So, yeah, I dug that. I think they meet this really nice middle ground between pure atmosphere, haziness, and incorporating melodic ideas. And I think having the two vocalists is really, really smart. Not just because of the texture layering in it, but also because a lot of shoegaze likes to, at least what I've heard, right? And again, it's a genre that I'm gaining a lot of exposure to through the channel, but still one that I feel like I've barely scratched the surface on. Maybe I just haven't heard the right stuff, but a lot of shoegaze that I've heard, the vocals tend to be just as airy as the music. You can find the melody, but it's sort of a phantom on a windy, foggy night. It kind of merges in with everything else. And the keyboardist vocals are kind of what I typically expect with shoegaze music. Pairing that with a very full-bodied core vocal that can kind of sit in the middle of all of that reverb and give it some definition and some physicality, yeah, I'm on board with that. And I think that's just a really smart decision, and it elevates this into another realm. Let me check out some lyrics here, and then we're going to wrap this one up. Well, It's one of the things with catching something so early. Sometimes the lyrics aren't out there. This premiered November 20th, which is only a few weeks old. You figure a few weeks though. Still, lyrics would be out there somewhere, but I couldn't find them at the usual places. I really want to know what's going on here though. If anybody finds the lyrics, I don't care if it's 7, 8, 15 years from now, please let me know. I will pin a comment with my thoughts on the lyrics and how it relates to the music of this song, because I'm just that interested in it. I want to know what's being said here. The music says some cool stuff. And there's some great compositional ideas in here, and it's the last piece of the puzzle. The lyrics. So, I guess it's going to wrap this one up. Those are my thoughts. MX Lonely's beauty lasts for never. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. If you have anything you'd like to add on to what I said or correct me on, maybe you have your own opinion on this or your own interpretation, let me know. Put all that and any other thoughts you have down in the comments section. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. Above that, if you could, no. In the description box is a link to Linktree. It took you to that menu I just showed. You can find my music and stuff in there. Also, like, subscribe, ring the bell. Anyways, this is starting off terrible. Or ending I don't know what this is anymore. I can't believe I still have to record the special selection for today. My brain is not anywhere it needs to be right now. I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UTC as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.